we're obviously seeing inflation, right?
Yeah, we are. Inflation on an annualized basis, and what I mean by that is we have inflation, for example, in September, and it's a certain percentage. But the number I could quote to you, I think, is like 0.1%. Doesn't mean anything to people. So you say it on an annualized basis. An annualized basis means if you had that inflation in September continuously for 12 months, this is what you'd get, right? So annualized inflation going back to February of this year has been in the range of 5% to 11%. So averaging, I think, around 8. What's typical in this country, at least has been typical for the past few decades, is 3.
Oh,
So our inflation rate since February has been 2.5 to 3 times what it is normally. I think I don't see that stopping in the near term, and it may not stop in the long term. And what the reason I hedge on this is because there are two factors at work here. One is that we're producing less than we were producing before. And producing less than you're producing before will give you inflation. But that's a short-term phenomenon. People come back to work and supply lines get ginned up and things start working well. The longer-term factor here is the Federal Reserve printing gobs of money. That will also give you inflation. And that is only going to get worse as time goes on because politicians have discovered that voters are tolerant of debt and deficits, and they're not tolerant of cuts to programs they like, nor are they tolerant of increased taxes.
right.
And so the only way to deliver things that politicians want to deliver is to print money.
Does this kind of play into, I talked to James about this, is the collapse of the financial system of America, not tomorrow, not in 10 years, but eventually do all of these things, these 2 and 3 and $4 trillion bills that they're just like slinging like hot dogs on the side of the street. It seems like there's not a lot of thought into the future versus like trying to get like quick fixes. And I think America
Right.
and the world is really used to that at this point, which is scary.
Yeah, and this is an interesting thing. You and I have talked a couple times about comparisons of private and public sector, and one of the things that people say it's a problem about the profit incentive is that companies are only look at the short run, which is actually incorrect. But this is one of the things that people say. Companies are interested in short run profits, forgetting the fact that politicians have probably shorter time horizons than companies do.
Mhm.
Their time horizon is to the next election. So whatever I can do to get through for the next 18 months until I'm reelected again
Mhm.
is what I'm going to do. And in this instance, you get the problems you're describing of we're not getting fiscal prudence. We're getting money printing. And again, it's an incentive because if you get two politicians, one of whom is willing to start printing money or encourage the Fed to print money, and the other one is talking about fiscal prudence. Well, the guy talking about fiscal prudence isn't going to get elected. The other
Right.
guy is.
Right.
And so they all have incentive to do this. I don't think we're looking at a financial collapse. I think we are looking at the inevitable financial insolvency of the federal government.